32 teams, 32 boroughs, 32 kings. It was all a dream until we woke y'all up while the fat lady sings. We gon' count these dimes, 7 partners in crime. 7 names, no games as I run it down the line. We got Kenny Ken, put 100 on the tees with the streak for the cash. ESPN. Skinny the comedian and thespian, spitting jokes faster than a Tommy gun. But somehow Lucius is the only funny one. Seth Curry with the shot. In reality, he's more like Seth, but he's all we got. Up next is Gentleman Jack, better known as Junior Blue. We told him not to do it anyway, but he did what he do. To his right is Devin, that dude, Eldad or Dirt Ass Dan. Just don't ask him a question, cause then he'll answer your question with another question, and then he'll add another question on top of that question. Damn. And I'm Red O, the Buck Wild Problem Child.
Flow Butter, aka John Cutter.
It's the league ambassadors, and we playing to win. At the 2-yard line, and make no mistake, we running it in. Pete Carroll, we see you.
Thank you for visiting 32 Kings Road.
We need a camera before the show.
Hosted by the League Ambassadors. I'm Ambassador Kenny Ken. This is episode 26, the third show of season 2 for 32 Kings Road. On today's show, we will continue our NFL International Series preview by looking at the New Orleans Saints and the Miami Dolphins. We will do a week 1 recap, look ahead to week 2 of the NFL season, and shit on the coach whose seat is so hot that he can't even remember who just finished whipping his ass.
Ejecto-cito, cuz.
As a reminder, you can follow us everywhere on social media. Our handle is @TheLeagueAM. Please visit our YouTube channel, League Ambassadors. Also, please visit our website, theleagueam.com. Check out Diplomatic Immunity, the place where you, as fans, can actually contribute to our website by speaking on whatever you feel like you want to talk about that's going on in the world of sports. Also, please click on previews at the top of our website. Chef Curry, once again, is delivering that fire for the game previews for each week. And then also follow us as we make our week 2 picks. Shout out to Northern California. Week 2 picks of the NFL season. And then finally, please rate, share, and download our show wherever you consume podcasts. Let's get the show going with our ambassador roll call.
Yep.
Redo, what you sipping on, baby?
I'm sipping on little Maker's Mark, and what's the shit you drinking on?
Pacifico.
All that's in my cup. So, if I wasn't so lazy, well, I am lazy, so I'm not going to do it, but somebody should start a petition. They need to get enough signatures to get the District Attorney of Chicago to impanel a grand jury to indict Kevin White for he's been stealing money.
He's stealing money, right?
Matt Flynn F. is he another assistant coach?
Oh, no. He's carrying the boot bag.
Hey, yo. He can't be an assistant coach because he don't even know the entire route tree. He played at West Virginia. They run 2 routes.
And he can only run routes on one side of the field.
Oh, my
Grand
God.
larceny.
Before I give it to Junior Blue, it's that time of the year.
We starting early. Early. Hey, you the one brought the Palmer song.
Hey, the real question is Junior Blue going to tell you?
No. Don't pass it. Don't give it. Don't. Hey.
Wow.
Chef Curry, it's on you.
Nah. Please. Seriously, let's get back on track with some serious business.
Nobody get it off track but you.
The NFL season has begun, which means it's time for the Kenyon teases. We're talking money here, folks. Okay, last year we had an 80% winning clip on these teases.
Put 100 on the tease.
Put 100 on the tease. So let's get it started. 7-point teasers. For those of you that don't know or don't remember, tease means that you are moving the game line. I'm specifically giving 7-point teases, and so my recommendations are as follows. Number 1, Cleveland versus Baltimore at home. That defense is legit. The line is only 7.5. Tease that down 7 points for Cleveland to lose by a half a point, which means Baltimore wins, you win money. Second game that I like is Arizona Cardinals, Indianapolis Colts. I know Carson Palmer looks shitty, and we're probably going to cover that at some point in this show, but the Indianapolis Colts as a team look the shittiest. 7.5 point. Listen to this. The Colts are an underdog, 7.5 at home. Take Arizona to win. Tease that line down 7 for the Cardinals to win. Sorry. And then finally, Tennessee, Jacksonville. The total game line is 43. Tease that up 7 points to 50 and take the under. 2 very good defenses. Put $100 down and thank the league ambassadors. Junior Blue, what you sipping on, baby?
I'm sipping on this
Much
Paul
better this
Mason
time.
brandy, but this
Wait,
week,
hold on. But why are you sipping on Paul Mason?
hey, sometimes you got to go there. That's what kind of week it's been.
Hey, it's Thirsty Thursday,
Has it
man.
not?
You're right. You know what? You're right.
Has it not?
You know what? He's getting ready. He's getting ready for London, and so he wanted to have some brandy.
Hey, so this week, Deshaun Watson makes his first career start. Someone said it was his birthday today too, but I would think that he would not have porn star Mia Khalifa in his kitchen frolicking around before he made this first start. Maybe that's why he didn't do nothing until the end of the first half when he finally got his legs back.
Oh,
And that's what I'm sipping on.
Get your legs back, Deshaun.
legs back.
Hey,
Hold
Deshaun,
up, Les.
keep doing what you do.
What were you doing, Les? What were you doing on your 22nd birthday?
Hey, it wasn't with Mia Khalifa.
Touche.
Kev, what you sipping on, baby?
I am sipping on what's left of this vodka and orange juice. I poured it on Tuesday. I was here. I was ready. Not sure what happened. It's almost gone. But
Kevin.
I'm moving on. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the NFL league-wide is undergoing a crisis, and it's at the line of scrimmage. These offensive line plays have just been terrible. I'm not sure most of these starting quarterbacks are going to make it through the season.
Kevin, that is a very salient point. That's probably the first salient point we've had this season, but it's real.
It's real.
It's borderline an epidemic.
Yeah,
Good call. Death,
the plague.
Yeah.
what you sipping on, brother?
I'm sipping on this lovely Maker's Mark.
The whole bottle.
The whole thing. So
We know where that leads.
yeah. So what I'm sipping on though is the the overreaction to all the games on both sides in the week 1 of it in the NFL. So over the summer, all the pundits have prognosticated. They've stated who was going to do what. And like they don't know that this is a any given Sunday league, but they still think they know shit. So I don't know why they acting brand new. So
They get paid to know.
oh, that may be coming soon, huh?
It's coming soon.
So I just wanted to talk about 5 teams in particular. I'm just going to run down the list, and then I'm going to open it up to the guys here. So the Patriots. So in week 1, they played the first game as the defending champs. Over the summer, that everyone was saying is going to go 19-0. On this show or in confirmation bias, it was one word, Brandon Cooks, that was repeated repeatedly.
Definitely be repeated this week.
and
Foreshadowing.
right. And at worst, the league one league ambassador had them at worst 12-4. But they got mollywopped 42-27 by the Chiefs. And we have Jacksonville Jaguars. We all picked against them in our picks. All of us.
As we should have.
Because we thought they were going to be horrible, but they beat the brakes off of the Texans 29-7. The Baltimore Ravens, which 80% of the website NFL Pick Hub picked the Bengals to win that game, and only Rich Eisen on NFL Networks picked us as a lone wolf.
Boy, Devin went internet browsing on that one. Woo!
Deep diving.
He went deep diving. I need a high percentage.
Yeah.
63 ain't enough.
So then we also have the Los Angeles Rams. So living in LA, you hear a lot of shit. But now that there's football here, the fans have gone nuts. So the defense is great.
Oh, this is going to be a fun show.
The defense is great, and now they finally got Aaron Donald back. so people think that because they whooped on the 49ers 46-9 at home that they got something here. And finally, the Giants, which was picked as a sexy pick to go to the Super Bowl to win the NFC, and they got shut down by the Cowboys 19-3.
Not by me.
Right. So I just quickly started off with the Patriots. People are saying that they're done just off of this Week 1 performance. I don't necessarily believe that, but I like to open this one up to everyone. What did y'all see on Thursday night? Aside from some shit we didn't want to see.
This is for everyone?
Yeah.
I mean, the defense was slow.
Yeah. Hella slow.
Yeah, I think done. I don't know. I don't think done's the word, but it's not going to be a walk in the park.
It's not going to be 15-1.
It's not going to be 15-1.
The weirdest thing was Brady overthrowing receivers.
Right.
You would think Brady would underthrow receivers. He's 50. You know?
He does have that workout.
He constantly, but he was overthrowing receivers, which was weird. That means there's no connection between him and the receivers that are left.
There's some time. Yeah, there's definitely some timing. I mean, there definitely has to be an adjustment. I would imagine that part will be fixed because Edelman is the crutch.
Right.
And so losing him, definitely there's an adjustment there. But it's what you first said. That defense is really slow.
Yeah.
And
at every level. Too.
Yeah.
Cal, go ahead.
Yeah, I think if any team though deserves the benefit of the doubt, it's the Patriots. I'll wait and see after Sunday, after they play the worst defense in football. if they can't be on the same page, then it's cause for concern. But
right.
I think they deserve 1 week to where it's
The
like,
benefit of the
okay,
doubt.
Brady's got a new receiver. They're trying to work out the kinks. So
Okay.
by Tuesday's show.
Okay.
we'll know for sure.
Also, Gronk didn't look healthy.
Well, that's always so. We always know that's a problem. So moving on, Brother Les, Jacksonville, with all this hype with this defense, will they win this division?
I'm going to say no because no team with Blake Bortles as your starting quarterback
What do you mean?
will win the division.
What's wrong with Blake?
He was 11 for 21 with 1 touchdown. He was playing a team who swam the whole week.
He threw
And
a
their star player,
Oh, shit.
Whoa,
their star player was worried about raising $30 million for Harvey relief.
Did
so,
you just say that?
Yes, he did.
Yes, because that's what they were doing.
Junior Blue, handshake, brother.
Homes were flooding. I mean, they weren't ready to play.
That's not what you said.
Welcome to deprivation.
No, right? Hey, we brought it out of him.
We brought it out of him. It took a year and a half.
It was the week.
Oh, in the brandy. So, real quick question before we move on: are the Titans and Texans in trouble with Jacksonville there?
No, Titans played a contender. I'm just gonna leave it at contender.
Okay.
Can't hold up though. But do y'all see my vision? Do y'all think Jacksonville can go 6-10 now?
Nah,
We moving on.
Nah, Jack.
Actually, Kev, we gonna kick it right to you. The Ravens. People have been talking a lot about this defense. I've been hearing crazy shit like the reincarnation of the 2000s.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
in his dreams when he sleeps.
No.
No,
like,
we
you
really
know.
do. We really do hear that shit. That's why I put it in the show. Kev, what say you?
Well, there's one similarity is that the year we won the Super Bowl in 2000, we also started the season with road divisional shutout loss. So I'll take that. Granted, it was against these Cincinnati Bengals, but I'll take it. The recipe from 2000 is definitely in place right now. We got a defense that stops the run, forces turnovers. Offense is predicated on the run game. We take shots offensively if we have to. The elite kicker, Justin Tucker compared to Matt Stover. I think the one difference, though, the one underlooked difference is that back then we relied a lot on punt and kick returns with Jermaine Lewis, and now with the way that the rules are in the NFL, of course, that aspect of the game is kind of taken away. But it's there. I don't know if we'll pitch 4 shutouts like we did that season, but the Ravens defense is definitely the best, if not top 3.
Okay. And Brother Omar, with these Los Angeles Sham Rams, people talking about they're going to win the division, especially with Donald back. What do you think?
Well, my problem I have with when you say people, there are 53-man rosters who played that game. There's probably 50 security officers, 20 coaches. So there were 200 people in the stadium. What fucking people are you talking about?
Nah, man, hey,
Omar, spot on, brother. Spot
Man.
on.
Everybody who went to that game got paid to go.
if you
Or
go
they
with
were
any
family members.
Hey, because I handle a lot of the media or when we're posting stuff, you go to any of them Ram sites, man, they are on.
And that was the 53 people who were
That was
at
in the stands.
They got 4 different Facebook pages, brother, with thousands of followers.
That's 20 per. Like, come on, man. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're a Rams fan, you do have reason to be optimistic. Not win the division optimistic, but you have an exciting new young head coach who, if you talk to the Redskin fans, they are, I mean, not Redskin fans, Redskin players, they still talk about him in genius terms. Like, they, in hush tones, like, he is great at what he does. Jeff Goff finally looked like an NFL quarterback. He 300 plus yards last week. I mean, I doubt if it happens again this week or the week after, but still, he looked like they have reason to be excited. If I will say that if they play their best season, they're going to win 6 games.
All right, last but not least, Brother Kenyon, we got the New York Giants. Now people are all of a sudden saying that they can't run the ball and don't have a good offensive line. Why are they just finding this out now?
Yeah, that's all news. The thing though, I will say though, hold the horses. They missed Odell Beckham. 2 first downs in the first half, a total of 3 points. When you have a receiver that is as dynamic as Odell, he commands a lot of attention and opens up the field for the running game. Even if you don't have the greatest offensive line, opens it up for the running game, opens up passing lanes for Eli Manning. So, we put a pause on it, but
pump the brakes.
Definitely his argument for a new contract
negotiation, his price went up.
Pull out the week 1 tape.
I think that was in a decree or 2.
Exactly. Along with Houston's old lineman.
Yeah.
Oh my, Dwayne Brown.
Yeah.
We'll get to it, but
all right, it's time for Moments in Hand Egg, also known as our history segment, where we focus on the participating teams in the NFL International Series. In show 1, we looked at the common thread between the Ravens and the Jaguars, which is the Week 3 matchup at Wembley. This week, we want to take our first look at the contestants in the Week 4 matchup at Wembley, which is the Miami Dolphins and the New Orleans Saints. For Miami, this is going to be the 3rd time, actually, that they've taken a trip overseas. And for the Saints, it will be their it will be the 2nd trip overseas. And so the question this week is the same as it was for the first show, which is, what are some historical common threads between these two franchises? There is one very obvious one, which we're definitely going to get to and really dive into. But Chef Curry, I want to throw it to you first because you had something a little bit different. Talk about it.
Sure. It's kind of the same approach I took last week as far as philosophies during the most important eras for these two teams. And just what I pointed out was that I think the coach and quarterback tandem that both of these teams have invested in during those times turns out to be a one-trick pony, specifically with Sean Payton and Drew Brees and Don Shula when he had Dan Marino. Of course, he's one of the greatest coaches of all times, but I'm specifically speaking on during Dan Marino's time there. And they both put their eggs into that basket, and we're going to ride or die with our quarterback in his arm, basically disregarding the other phases of the game. Now, I'll start with the Dolphins. Shula and Marino had early success. They went to the Super Bowl their second year together, had great offenses, but in 7 of the years they were together, they had probably the worst defense within, I'd say the bottom 5 defenses in the league for 7 years. Can't really succeed long-term with that kind of defense, as you can see why Dan Marino didn't win a Super Bowl. They made the playoffs 8 times from 1990 to 2000, but could never get over that hump. And then with the Saints, with Sean Payton and Drew Brees, we're seeing it now. They made the playoffs 5 times together, won a Super Bowl in their 4th year. So, again, they have relative early success, but they've had one of the best offenses in football for the last decade, but they've also had the worst defenses, including this year. We're going to go ahead and add 2017 on that tally of terrible defenses. So for me, it's just it's consistency. It's consistency going in the wrong direction in the sense that we're just going to push our quarterback out there and ride or die with what he has and not give him much to work with. If you look at the year the Saints won the Super Bowl with Drew Brees, they had a above average, if not top 10 defense. So again, the writing's on the wall. You can't just go with that quarterback, no matter how good he is. You got to build something around him.
That's because
they
had a bounty system, Kevin. They had boundaries.
They had
or something.
motivation.
They had boundaries.
They had motivation.
Kevin, extra motivation.
Real quick, what do you attribute that to? Because I think even if you just pull the hood up on the NFL overall, and you look at, say, the Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning, you look at the Buffalo Bills to a slightly lesser extent, but you see this story a lot where they have the elite quarterback, but the organization or the franchise, for some reason, they don't necessarily make the same investment on the defense. What do you attribute that to?
I would say it's a Southern thing until you brought up Indianapolis, and I was like, oh, okay, well, then maybe they don't count. But I'm not sure. I think so much attention is put on. We have to and we all know this. Quarterback's the most important position in sports. You have to solidify that position. But if you don't protect him, and I think maybe, I don't know why that is necessarily, maybe it's a mindset of we're going to be a finesse football team. The Saints have, by and large, been a finesse football team over the years, the Dolphins, and even Indianapolis. But for whatever reason, I'm not sure why that is. It could just be a philosophy. I don't know.
Well, I would throw something out there with regards to Shula. Like, when he had his early success before Miami, he was with the Colts, the real Colts, and he had Johnny U. He's like, oh, well, I need to have a quarterback like this. So when he got Dan, it was like, I know I needed this because I had this before, so I'm rolling with it. I can't speak to everything else after that, though. I mean, Shula was kind of, had an embarrassment of riches there.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the Miami Dolphins, historically, I mean, you look at the season that they went perfect. Everybody talks about Greasy. They talk about Sanka.
He's a shit statistical Hall of Fame quarterback.
Right. But it was that no-name defense.
No-name defense, yeah.
Was the reason why they went perfect, and is the reason why they actually were the first NFL team to be a back-to-back champion. So,
and the only to be undefeated. And I mean, it doesn't hurt to have Mercury and Zonka
right
at the same
Fuck
time.
the Dolphins.
Right.
Oh, because they beat them in '85.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
Our season was perfect.
like, Omar, where you going with this?
I never.
So before we delve into the obvious, I will mention a common thread that is actually also obvious, but it's not more obvious than the obvious, and that's Mr. Ricky Williams, Mr. Dope Smoker to the moon.
Because I get high.
Ricky Williams, first round pick of the New Orleans Saints, 1999.
He actually got high for a reason, though.
Well,
compared to some other people who just
he toured with Lenny Kravitz, and then he started getting high for a reason. But I think he got high before, just because he was, well, for one, he was the first NFL player and the only NFL player to ever have been drafted in a trade where the team gave up all of their other picks. So,
see, I thought you were going to say he was the only NFL player to ever be on the Sports Illustrated cover in a dress.
well, that was coming next.
Okay.
That was coming next. When you add the pressure of the picks, of which, and it was actually a total of 8 picks that he was traded for. The 6 picks they had in the 99 draft, plus the first and the third from the following season. Mike Ditka was all in. He is the definition of all in. But then when he actually got traded to the Miami Dolphins, he was traded for another 4 picks. So he's responsible for 12 draft picks, this one player. And then he did wear the wedding dress, which was bananas,
with Ditka.
with a guy named Ditka.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
He did 3 seasons in New Orleans, and then he was traded to the Miami Dolphins, where he violated the drug policy 4 times. He retired once, and in that season in which he retired, he went on a marijuana journey, and he then came back to the NFL because he needed to make money, because he was suspended, because he cost the Miami Dolphins a whole lot of money. And somewhere in between all of this, he really was a really good running back. And then he went to the Toronto Argonauts during his season in which he was suspended. Then he came back to the NFL, went to the Dolphins, and then he finished his career, to make it full circle, with the Baltimore Ravens, the hometown team of both Devin and Kevin. So yeah, when I think about the New Orleans Saints and the Miami Dolphins, and here's the thing, Ricky Williams was a great. He was a great running back.
He was real great on Madden.
He was definitely a top-notch college running back, and he actually had. I mean, he led the league in rushing, 1,800 yards. That was his first season in Miami. Every season in New Orleans, he was a 1,000-yard rusher. He was productive. He just wanted to smoke
more.
more weed.
Yeah.
Well, the bright lights of the NFL expose his mental disability.
That's right. Omar really wants to bring this out. So he was a guy who was diagnosed clinically with a social anxiety disorder.
So he smoked weed.
So he smoked weed. He definitely did post-game interviews with his helmet on. He had the tenant. He had the tenant visor.
Which should have been a check down for anybody who's concerned at that moment. Right.
He was notorious for avoiding eye contact. Joe Horn though explained him pretty well, and I think this is more than anything. This is speaking of weed guys. He said, Ricky was the guy where if he liked you, he liked you. If he fuck with you, he fuck with you. But if he didn't fuck with you, he didn't fuck with you. And I think that describes a lot of people in this world, actually. Which is why I think he just smoked the weed. But anyway, let's get to what I think is probably the most interesting common thread between these two teams. And the way I would describe it is probably the biggest what if in NFL history. And that what if is, what if Mr. Nick Saban had not looked at the medical records? And I'll start with you, Dev.
Yes, thank you very much for that great introduction. So, if you've been under a rock in the NFL for a long time, you didn't know that Nick Saban was actually a coach for the Dolphins. And when he got there in 2006, they had the opportunity to choose between two quarterbacks. One had a fucked up shoulder. The other one
Likes cruise lines.
Wow.
And he tore all of his ACL, MCL, all of that. And he had baby hands.
He did have baby hands, Dante Culpepper.
So Nick Saban decided to go after Mr. Dante Culpepper. And he actually traded a second-round pick to get him. Now, he said that he chose him because he thought Breeze would never be able to throw the ball better than Dante Culpepper, which I thought was absolutely hilarious.
30,000 yards later.
More than that. So
I understand why he said that.
Right, I don't. But so we can talk about all the accolades that Breeze has accomplished since he's been in New Orleans.
Just Google it or go look at your fantasy teams.
Right,
past like 10 years.
Rewriting.
Exactly. But let's take a look at some of the coaching changes, because after he decided to go with Culpepper, which actually he was gone the very next year, and they gave up a second rounder for him. Here are the starting quarterbacks that since they could have had Drew Brees. Culpepper, Joey Harrington,
Trash.
Cleo Lemon,
Trash.
Trent Green,
Trash.
John Beck,
Trash.
Chad Pennington,
Still trash.
Chad Henne,
Trash.
Tyler Thigpen,
Trash.
Matt Moore,
Trash.
Ryan Tannehill. Here are also
Passing.
hey, the jury's still out. Here are also the number of head coaches that have come in after Nick Saban left to go back to college, and we'll get into that later. Cam Cameron,
Trash.
Tony Soprano.
He's not trash, but he's
Sperano.
trash.
Because you're scared. You don't know if he's really.
I don't know if he's a Soprano. You're right about that.
So he was trash enough that they fired him in the middle of a season, and they brought in Todd Bowles as an interim.
But you know what, though? Looking at all those bad quarterbacks fucked up his eyesight, because he was the only cat I know that wore shades on the sideline.
Yeah. Then after that, it was Joe Philbin, who I think stayed 2 more years.
He's trash.
Too long.
He's so terrible.
He was also trash enough for them to get rid of him in the middle of the year, and they brought in Dan Campbell as an interim, and now they have Adam Gase. Guess how many coaches and quarterbacks the New Orleans Saints have had since then?
Since they've had Drew Brees?
Yes.
Go ahead and give that answer.
That would be 1.
A 1.
The same.
The same. The absolute same.
Yeah.
Question though. Name somebody who thought Drew Brees was a Hall of Famer, who was on a Hall of Fame track.
In San Diego?
Period.
I mean, that's tough to gauge. He was a Pro Bowler,
that's
All-Pro.
I'm not talking about tough to gauge. No one thought Drew Brees, who's 5'0", was going to be, after a shoulder surgery, was going to be on a Hall of Fame track.
But in
that's
San
all
Diego,
I'm
he
saying.
was a Pro Bowler.
Yeah,
though.
the Pro Bowl in San Diego.
Yes. But he's also small, and Dante is 6'6".
No, that's what I was gonna ask. What was the rep about Dante Culpepper at the time? Leaving Minnesota, he had Randy Moss. I mean, of course, that's like 2020, but at the time, it sounds like a logical conversation.
He was built like a tank.
He got the same size hands as me.
You know, honestly, to be fair, it is very easy to pile on, but it's really a very good point to make. That if you looked at it on paper, if you looked at it from a production standpoint, I would say they were even. I would actually probably tilt a little bit towards Drew Brees because Randy Moss is a huge.
He makes up a lot.
He makes up a lot, right? But you know, one is 6'4", one is shorter than
We don't know how tall he is.
We don't know how tall.
He's taller than Russell Wilson.
4'11".
And Drew
goes on.
and Culpepper had accomplished more. He had been to the NFC Championship game. So it wasn't like a ridiculous choice.
Yeah, but the very first year that they played together, that coaching and quarterback relationship, they went to the NFC Championship game and lost to the Bears. That very same year.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is
the same year that they was fucking it off.
People talk about Breeze now as if they knew. And there were I
It's a
guarantee
very good
you
point.
can't find anybody who thought Drew Brees was going to be what he is today.
It's a very good point.
Hey, but
I think we could definitely. Oh no, go ahead, Les.
I was about to say, but think about how it affected the college ranks.
Yep.
Nick Saban goes back, and he wins in 2010, beating Texas, 2011 beating LSU, 2012 beating Notre Dame, and we could have back-to-back champions with Clemson, but he beat them in 2015. So if Nick Saban actually stays in Miami with Drew Brees, what's college football look like? Now, he didn't just affect the NFL; it affected college football too.
Yes, it went down the line.
Yeah, and to that point, looking at the NFL, if Breeze goes to Miami, Nick Saban stays, like you said, he doesn't go to college football, then we have Nick Saban and Drew Brees going up against Bill Belichick and Tom Brady twice a year, every year.
Which I would have paid good money to see that.
And also that last year, that I think 2005 was Wes Welker's last year in Miami before he went to New England. So imagine he stays.
He stays in Miami.
Yep. Exactly. So we got that matchup going back and forth. The Patriots don't own a division for a decade. They probably don't dominate the conference. I mean, shit. Racism doesn't exist. Trump don't get hey, we might have all 7 league ambassadors doing the show right now.
Wow.
Nick Saban stays and Drew Brees stays.
See, Kevin.
Okay, let's move on.
He's just been itching.
Because then we can go to the draft. Because who if he does go to Miami, who do the Saints draft? Now, some people say he would probably draft Vince Young, but I can't see Peyton looking at Vince Young tape and saying, "Nah, that's the guy I want."
I mean, they had Aaron Brooks at the time.
I think
I think he would have leaned more towards Jay Cutler than he would have Vince Young.
I think honestly
He wants somebody who's smarter than Vince Young.
I think the draft stays this. I think the draft would have probably stayed the same because again, the thing about Reggie Bush going to New Orleans was Houston wanted to take Reggie Bush, but they couldn't come to an agreement on a contract. So then they took Mario Williams. And then at that point, I think there is a bit of a decision to make between Vince Young and Reggie Bush, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that
they needed a quarterback.
They had a black quarterback. I don't think they're going to run it back with another black quarterback.
It was a horrible quarterback draft. Yeah. It was Matt Lennart, Jay Cutler.
Who's Matt Leonard?
Whatever his
Leonard.
name.
He always
Tavares Jackson,
TJ
Whitehurst,
Charlie Whitehurst.
Clipboard Jesus.
That's Clipboard
Clemens.
Jesus.
Kellen Clemens.
Wow.
It was a horrible draft for quarterback.
So they would have ended up, to your point, they would have ended up with a quarterback, a terrible quarterback, and they probably would still be the Aints.
Right, exactly.
But conversely, if he does stay,
that's a great point, actually.
Wes Welker stays. They also have Chris Chambers, who's a pretty decent tight end.
Chris Chambers caught.
He was big as shit. That's what I'm saying. They had also Randy McMichael, Marty Booker. Even Derek Hagan, who's from out here, would have been a better receiver.
All of those receivers were, they're not anyone that you're going to look back and say, like, these are Hall of Fame receivers, but all of those receivers were productive.
Imagine them playing with Breeze, though.
Exactly.
And then him having a defense because he had Jason Taylor, who was defensive player of the year,
Yeah.
and Zach Thomas, crazy ass.
Where is Zach Thomas, by the way? Somebody need to go find him. He's somewhere in a dark room. He's somewhere in a dark room because he can't see and he's got headaches. But somebody need to find that guy right now.
The problem with the what-if game is you go back a year, Saban drafted Ronnie Brown, and if you redo that draft, he drafts Aaron Rodgers instead of Ronnie Brown.
You wanted everybody to draft.
But you said before that if
Everybody would draft Aaron Rodgers.
But the Packers.
if he keeps him, there's no more what's that gimmick offense?
Oh, Wildcat.
The Wildcat.
Wildcat's done.
Wildcat.
I mean, Alex Smith was the number 1 draft pick that year instead of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Well, that's really good. That, like I said, probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, what if in NFL sports is if Nick Saban had made the right choice.
Is that 30 for 30 for that shit?
That might be a 30. Well, it might
What
be.
if I told you that Nick Saban wasn't
we need to
always in
produce it.
college?
Right. What if he. Yeah.
We just did.
Well, because his success. Yeah, Kev.
Big picture, Nick Saban made a pretty good decision.
For him, yeah.
Probably the best decision he's ever made.
But I mean, keeping in college, if he does stay, then does Alabama get Shiano? And that he's a step down from
Yeah, no, the college game is completely.
But he might win one still.
Maybe.
Nah, he's not the recruiter that Nick Saban is. Not even.
Bobby,
close.
wait, was Bobby Petrino in line around that?
No.
No.
No, he wasn't. Oh, okay.
No.
That's good.
Time for let's move on to our Brexit boot bag winner. This is a lot of fun. Red-O, you take it away. Who's our Brexit boot bag winner?
Chucky P. My man, Chucky P.
Chuck Strong, baby.
Mr. Chuck Pagano, the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, or as a couple people around here like to say, Indy. The Colts got their ass whooped like they stole something. And we have sound of the press conference afterwards.
I mean, we got our asses kicked, and credit 49ers and Coach McVay.
The only problem is they did not play the 49ers. they played the Rams. And the biggest problem is the Rams combined with, like, all last year, they probably scored 46 points last year. The Rams dropped 49 points on the Colts. And that man is on the hot seat so much, he forgot who he played. It's an ejector seat. It ain't the hot seat because he's out of here. The only question is, can Kevin say how many games before? Is he going to be accurate enough?
Golf clap for our Brexit boot bag winner, Mr. Chucky.
Better hope that cancels.
Pagano.
That's his only way he gonna get out.
Oh my
Hey,
God.
he got the coach name right,
Keep
though.
moving. That's
did.
what's crazy, right?
He
got
did.
he smooth had the coach.
Wait,
Wrong
did
team.
McVay go to get an interview in 49ers?
I don't know. Kev?
Hey, hold up. Y'all not going to just dismiss me like that. Hold on. So, July 2006, Bobby Petrino did sign a deal to stay in Louisville. And then the following year, he joined the Falcons. So, he was available. Don't play me. I know my history.
What are you talking about?
We trying to move on, Kev. We trying to move on. That's all.
The Alabama job. Move on.
All right. Hot topic.
Play me.
Probably the biggest injury in Hot Topics. Damn. Football tea. I'm sorry. Football tea. Football tea. It's time for football tea.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Brits. Tea time. We'll be over there for some tea time next week.
Yes, we will.
The biggest injury probably David Johnson, dislocated wrist. He's out for 3 months. We know Devin has been down on the Cardinals. If you watched our show last week, the question I put out to you guys: does anyone feel sorry for Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald in their final year because it's definitely going down the tubes?
Well, if y'all remember, in order to get out of Cincinnati, the man threatened to retire. He needs to do it actually. it's a wrap.
Chicken salad wrap.
I feel sorry for my fantasy team.
Thank you.
You and like 9 million other people. Pretty sure he was the number one pick in fantasy.
Care about Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald.
Deshaun Watson.
CJ 5.5K is back though.
Oh God. Please,
Hey, CJ,
please.
10K.
He's
He
like
needs 463
he's
yards.
entering Friday the 13th territory where Jason just never dies.
Yeah.
Or is it Freddy Krueger? Which one is it?
Friday the 13th is
Yeah.
is Jason.
Hot topic number 2, Deshaun Watson. For those of you that do not follow us on social media, we put it out there. We have a Negro Damas in our mix.
It's a prophet.
Negro dumb.
He called himself a prophet, but he's Negro Damas. Kevin last week said that by what time did you say, Kevin?
I said by, was it 2:30?
2:30 that Deshaun Watson was going to be in the game, and by golly, at 1:45 Texas time, he was in the game.
In the game.
Smooth in the game.
First of all, how is he doing tonight, Kevin?
Well, I see they're up 10-9 with 2 minutes left, and Andy Dalton was putting his helmet on, so
Okay.
we're about to find out.
All right, so I'm going to stay with you, Kevin.
Wait. Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Good move or bad move?
I think it's an unfortunate move because we knew it was going to happen, but it happened way before we'd be comfortable with it because Watson definitely wasn't up to speed, and I don't think they played bad because of Tom Savage because when Deshaun Watson came in the game, he had the same problems. He just so happened to get lucky enough to be inside the red zone.
Again, as you said earlier, that O-line, there's an epidemic, there's a disease going around.
Dwayne Brown.
How bad is Blake Bortles, though, that he had the same numbers as a rookie in his first game?
Hey, Calais Campbell earned all his money in the first
Sure
half against Tom Savage.
That boy good.
Speaking of Calais Campbell, third big hot topic, defenses and running backs ruled week 1. Listen to this, guys, and I'll pose the question to you. There were 7 teams who did not have double-digit scoring, tying for the most records, or that ties 2011 for the most teams that did not accomplish double-digit scoring. That's number 1. Number 2, literally half the league had under 300 yards of total offense
14 teams.
in week 1. And then on the running back side, we had Leonard Fournette, 26 carries. Ezekiel Elliott, 24 carries. We had rookies Kareem Hunt and Dalvin Cook go over for 120 yards rushing, and Tariq Cohen, who literally ran all over the Atlanta Falcons. The question I have for you guys, is this symbolic of a turnaround, or is this just a temporary thing? We'll go around. Les.
Well, I think the defense is. I don't think it's a turnaround for that. I think eventually they'll start opening it up and airing it out like they have the last few years. But as far as running back concerned, they kind of bounced back last year. There was 5 more 1,000-yard rushers last year than the previous year, with 2 being within 10 yards of having 1,000, adding another 2 to that 1,000. So I think running backs came back last year. They're going to continue this year. Defenses, I don't know. When you spread it out, once the offenses start rolling, I think the defense is going to suffer again.
I just think that with given the fact that there's less practicing with pads on, offenses aren't used to getting hit. Defenses are in sync faster than offenses are. Mm-hmm. With regards to running the ball, last year there were 5. Well, this year there were 500-yard rushers in week 1. Last year there was only 2. Conversely, there were 6 300-yard passers in this week 1, but 10 last year. I think it has to do with some of that practicing, but it's a copycat league, so if people see that shit's working, they might try to, bring the run back.
I mean, because the spread, Redo, the spread was all the rage. Spread them out, throw the ball all over the field. You had, Ben Roethlisberger, Joe Flacco, Cam Newton, all quarterbacks that usually put up big numbers, and they won week 1, but they won because of their defense. Is there any merit to that?
Last year, only one team averaged under 300 yards a game, and that was the Rams. I think it's an aberration because it's week 1, less practice time. The running backs are trending up.
Kev.
Go ahead, Kev.
But my concern, though, is we've known about a lot of these bad offensive lines, like we said about the Giants to start the show, before the season even started. I don't think blocking is something you just learn how to do in week 3. I honestly think this low scoring, the inability to protect your quarterback, relying more on the run game is going to be a trend throughout the season.
Just lastly, so with the league designed to be a passing league, I think some coaches also got smart because some defenses have gotten faster linebackers, smaller defensive linemen, and they said, hey, we can spread them out, but let's run the ball because they're
That's
smaller.
a great point. Great point. Finally, last hot topic, and it's more of just, I'm going to throw it to each of you guys. Give me your most impressive week 1 performance, whether it be a team, whether it be a position, group. Kevin, I'll start with you.
Alex Smith by far. Nobody
Amen.
saw that coming. Nobody.
That's you, Redo.
Same
Alex
team,
Smith.
Same team.
Really? They threw. I mean, he only took 2 times, but he threw the ball down the field twice.
That's what I had that in my notes.
Twice.
4 TDs.
That.
I'd hate to be a homer, but the Baltimore Ravens shutting someone out in week 1, 5 turnovers, 5 sacks, 2 takeaways in the red
You
zone.
really hate to be a homer.
I want to get perspective.
He just missed going home. That's all it is.
I thought Kev was going to say it.
I'm with you. I am with you. The Baltimore defense, partly because they got me 25 points in fantasy, but also, that was an impressive performance. Kareem Hunt, also the rookie, nasty. Junior Blue.
I hate to say it, and I love to say it at the same time. KC smashing New England.
Really?
Because, of course,
With that JV offense?
Hey, it's KC.
It
KC
worked.
did that.
They
thing.
couldn't stop.
They'll
KC
say it's
did
like
they
Novocaine.
thing. You know what I'm saying?
Novocaine. Give it time, and it always works.
I don't know how they're gonna do without Eric Berry though.
Yikes.
Special shout, that's big. Special shout out to Jacksonville's defense though too.
Man, and you guys, right? Listen, I'm afraid to say it, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
UCLA is great.
Get out of here, because it's real. Listen, you can't tell me, Tom Coughlin, that Colin Kaepernick would not really with that defense.
What did I say about Blake?
Come on, man.
125 yards.
Ooh,
A starting quarterback in the NFL.
Under 50% passing.
Not coming off an injury either, like Flacco was.
Come on, man.
A quarterback who only played a half did the exact same numbers.
Thank you. A rookie. A rookie. Anyway, let's get to our game picks and fantasy recommendations before I blow a fuse. And we'll stay with Kansas City.
Well, before that, let's talk about some of your attire with these game picks we got.
Hey, buddy.
Explain.
I tried it.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna let you.
Are
Start.
you a UCLA alumni?
What school did you go to again?
It's
Explain, Kenyon,
legitimate
explain.
questions. Hey, bro.
So again, go to our website, theleagueam.com. We have every week the ambassadors compete. Actually, Junior Blue is our returning champion.
Oh, I need to get my belt.
You should bring your belt in
Every week.
Don't bring the gentleman jack though.
I'm gonna say that for the last show.
And so for week 1, but it's fine. It's week 1. I didn't do as well, but I promise you this will be the last time that I wear this garbage on my head.
Okay, now proceed.
Now, staying with Kansas City, we want to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The Chiefs are at home. Is anyone here picking the Eagles?
No.
No one.
No.
Not at
No,
all.
I don't think I'm picking the Eagles the rest of the season.
Hey.
No, but I wanted to pick the Eagles, but then
you quit?
No.
Oh.
I actually see that was worse. Andy Reid is 8-3 against his disciples, and Doug Peterson is an Andy Reid disciple. He was the OC in Kansas City, and from 13 to 15.
Father, forgive me.
You need it.
And they're playing at Arrowhead.
Yeah, that's what I said. I think, home game for the Chiefs.
10-day what?
They've had 10 days off of a huge road win.
Yeah.
I think this got the makings of a blowout. Let's move to, we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, Pats versus Saints. Listen, guys, I think we're all on the Patriots. I really, really wanted to pick the Saints. Number one, the Saints went up against the Patriots in training camp. They're going to be very familiar with them, and Sean Payton is definitely looked at that tape and can see that the Patriots are slow on defense. They got 3 running backs. One of them should hit. But having said all of
They
that,
have 3 running backs.
Will AP get more than 9?
Should he?
but having said all of that, the Patriots looked at the Saints defense. Tom Brady looked at the Saints defense, and what did he see, Kevin?
Brandon
He
Cooks.
saw nothing but the end zone in front of him. That's why I'm going with the Patriots in a shootout. And when I say shootout, I mean like Westworld. Everybody dies. It's gonna be ugly.
All right, here's one where I think we have a little bit of dissension. We've got the Sunday night matchup, the Atlanta Falcons versus the Green Bay Packers. Junior Blue, who do you have?
Green Bay.
You've got Green Bay on the road.
On the road, they struggled against the Bears. Atlanta struggled against the Bears. And basically, Green Bay probably wants a little payback from last year, from the playoffs.
Dad.
I actually have Atlanta for the opposite reason because Atlanta is at home.
Opening a new stadium, brand new stadium.
Brand new.
It's going to be crunk.
And
The strippers from Onyx and Magic City
Hey,
going to be there.
Can Green Bay get off the field on third down this year?
Uh-oh. Well,
That sounds like a perfect time to choke.
they
Whoa.
on what? Redo, what you got? Redo hates this game, actually.
Green Bay.
31-28.
31-28.
I have 28-24.
Kev?
I didn't pick a score. I went with Atlanta just because they're home, and I think they have Green Bay's number the last 2 times they played them. So
I
going
picked
Atlanta.
I picked the Packers. I really liked the Green Bay defense last week against Seattle. I mean, granted, Seattle's offensive line is boo-boo. I get all of that. They cut a player that they had signed in the offseason on the D-line. I can't remember his name. Green Bay did, which means they're really confident in what they have. Also, Atlanta's offense regressed. And I hate to say that because Sark's my guy. But they're not the same offense that they were last year with Kyle Shanahan. I think you saw some of that Red-O against the Chicago Bears.
Chicago's Bears defense is up and coming, and they did change coordinators. So, I mean, there may be some growing pains, but they still got the Tims and Joes, though.
Yeah, but the Packers offense didn't regress, and they're going to put up a lot of points and against that very same defense. All right, fantasy picks. I've got... Carson Palmer, because the Indianapolis Colts are just that bad.
I almost did that.
Jared Goff threw for 300 yards against them, and it's indoor. No David Johnson. Bruce Arians, the Cajun, is going to sling the rock. Mm-hmm. So I'm doubling up, taking Larry Fitzgerald and Carson Palmer, and then Ty Montgomery. Okay, last week Tariq Cohen caught 8 balls out the backfield. Mike McCarthy looked at the tape and said, well, we actually have a wide receiver that is playing running back. Mm-hmm. I look for him to have a big game. Kevin, who you got? Give me your 3 fantasy picks.
Quarterback, I'm going with Tom Brady. At running back, I'm going with whoever Tom Brady hands the ball off to. And at receiver, give me Brandon Cooks and or anyone else running routes for the New England Patriots against the Saints.
Redo.
I have Carr versus the Jets. Any quarterback versus the fucking Jets. I have Brandon Cooks versus New Orleans. I think he gets 2 touchdowns. And flex, I have Jordan Howard because he didn't get off last week. I think he gets off this week.
Dad, who you got?
Quarterback is Drew Brees in the shootout. Wide receiver is Amari Cooper versus the Jets. And for flex, any position player that is playing against the Indianapolis Colts.
All right, before
shout out.
Before I throw it to Junior Blue, I want to announce to you guys that every week I want you to check out our Instagram. Again, our handle is @TheLeagueAM. We are definitely going to be making some daily fantasy recommendations. Our ambassador, Junior Blue, is going to be responsible for that. And so for this particular fantasy segment, Junior Blue, give us a daily fantasy lineup, courtesy of the league ambassadors. Who you got?
Probably everybody y'all named. So, at quarterback, we got Drew Brees versus New England.
Okay.
Devontae Freeman versus Green Bay.
All right.
James White versus New Orleans.
Good value pick.
Julio Jones versus Green Bay.
All right.
Brandon Cooks versus New Orleans.
Okay.
Cooper Kupp versus Washington.
Great value pick.
Jesse James, tight end for Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Versus Minnesota.
Yes.
Giorgio Tavecchio, our kicker,
He
against the
practiced
New
that
York
at the
Jets.
house.
and the Oakland D versus the New York Jets.
All right. That sound like that fit in $60,000.
Yeah, it fit right there.
Boom.
Yeah.
All right. We thank you for visiting 32 Kings Road. We're going to get out of here. We will be back to our normally scheduled time, which is actually on Tuesdays. So we'll be on next Tuesday before we take off for London. Again, follow us everywhere on social media. Our handle is @TheLeagueAM.
Are we going to London?
We are absolutely going to London. We are on the plane on the
It's a real countdown.
on the second thing smoking, not the first thing. The second thing smoking to London.
We're on the first thing.
Detours.
Hit us up on our website, theleagueam.com. Visit our YouTube channel, League Ambassadors. Let's get our drinks together. Cheerio.
Cheers.
Get
Hey,
out.
Shout out to Sergio Dip.
Kenyon.
It sure was.
Dip.
32 teams, 32 boroughs, 32 kings. It was all a dream until we woke y'all up while the fat lady sings. We gon' count these dimes, 7 partners in crime. 7 names, no games as I run it down the line. We got Kenny Ken, put 100 on the cheese with the streak for the cash. ESPN. Skinny the comedian and thespian, spitting jokes faster than a Tommy gun. But somehow Lucius is the only funny one. Seth Curry with the shot. In reality, he's more like Seth, but he's all we got. Up next is Gentleman Jack, better known as Junior Blue. We told him not to do it anyway, but he did what he do. To his right is Devin, that dude, Eldad or Dirt Ass Dan. Just don't ask him a question, cause then he'll answer your question with another question, and then he'll add another question on top of that question. Damn. And I'm Red O, the Buck Wild Problem Child.
Flow Butter, aka John Cutter.
It's the League Ambassadors, and we playing to win at the 2-yard line. And make no mistake, we running it in.